Good evening. This is Eswatini TV News at 8, read to you by myself, Notile Sitole, alongside Namakabiso Ngambule. First up, let's have a look at our top stories. The weeding of rail fields continues as warriors were weeding Mazibege rail fields. Hundreds of senior citizens and people living with disabilities around the kingdom received Christmas gifts from the John Nashonga Foundation. The Ministry of Public Works and Transport has assured the nation that the road failure near Ngomazi Road Bridge will be fixed. And now our bulletin in detail. The weeding of rail fields continues as warriors were weeding Mazibege rail fields.
Lakwebetelago woke up with energy to weed Mazibege rail field this morning. They come out in their numbers even today. This follows His Majesty the Ingwenyama and King of Eswatini's command, which ordered the warriors to weed the rail fields in huge numbers. The order was delivered by Induna during the burning of the log. Through this beautiful and important cultural event, the regiment show their love and willingness of conserving their heritage and culture. The young regiment known as Ingaja also benefit from this activity as they learn about it so that they will be able to maintain and keep it for the future generation of the country.
Mfana ngosi semasimini siyahlakula senda emasiko lesawakhanda ngeke sibalahle sisekhona bayawulahleka kulabanye bawusala emva kwethu futhi siwenda ngenjabulo kuthi kena lesisi kube wendeni ngoba thina asikhulumi lesingadani nabo noma ukhona umuntu omlolo nenkulumo yakhe asigelelani nathi nesikemabutho thina imabutho kangala besimini agethi intwala ende lokho nalokho kwemabutho nje kuphela hayi lokunene angenelana lokunene ngamabutho futhi ngenjabulo uthi yabona la njiyabona hawu.
After weeding, Lakwebetelago then proceeded to Eswatini rural residence where they were told by Induna which field is to be weeded the following day.
Kuhle majaha mkumi yabonakala nemandlane yafaka lokho lokudzingakalako lokho kuhamba nenhlonipho sikhumbule social distance majaha sitamnqoba number 4 nasani social distance diponyo tingesuka emlonyeni. Kusasa majaha ePhondo ayatha.
On the news, I am Polile Mazia with Tabiso Dlamini at Eswatini rural residence.
Over 300 elderly people and people living with disabilities from different areas around the kingdom received Christmas gifts from the John Nashonga Foundation, whose founder is Divine Healing Ministries Bishop Nashonga. Speaking during the donation, which was held at Divine Healing Ministries in Manzini, the Deputy Prime Minister Tim Masugu pledged to support the yearly event with 2,000 emalangeni and further make other contributions.
Scriptures were quoted, others cried tears of joy, and happiness was written all over the faces of the elderly and the disabled who received gifts from the John Nashonga Foundation, whose founder is Divine Healing Ministries Bishop Nashonga. The Deputy Prime Minister Themba Masuku, who was part of the event, commended Dr. Nashonga for the initiative. He says Shongwe is a shining star as more people want to emulate his lifestyle as he lives a holy life. He continues to say gifting is a biblical principle. Masuku thanks all those who support the foundation, saying it belongs to the heavens because it helps the needy.
Bishop has been a shining star. Baneng banda bafuna kukopa lolo kwenta wena wathi thine basitshela nabakhuluma nathi. Lokhu kusho kona ukuthi uluswayi loluvanga impilo bantu babe khona bakhone kuguquka uphinze ukukhanya wena ngekwakho ngoba ureflector impilo yaNkulunkulu. Bishop angibonge bonke labakusekela kule foundation nekuthi siyathandaza ukuthi babe banengi labatawengedeka basekele le foundation ngoba le foundation ayisiyo nje ukhona lo shito la ayisiyo nje yakho lena ngiyasezulwini le.
Shongwe says the donation in total cost about 200,000 emalangeni. He says the donation includes 8 beds, 60 blankets, 450 10 kg maize meal and 300 loaves of bread.
Lo mqimbi nje wanamuhla lo usathe ngathi plus or minus 200,000 akusiye imadlana lincane la kunembhede lapha len 8 khona ke lesika banika ngenyalo lembhede len 8 le Themba le foundation kunetingubo leting 60 tekulala kunempuphu la 10 kg le 450 kunengibayo naye sebale kama lenkosi ke malibonga lapha ke bekhala mathapha basibene lingwa elingaki leting 300 igama lenkosi ke malibonga.
Tapsile Simelane, who spoke on behalf of the beneficiaries, thanked Bishop Nashonga for caring for the less privileged and prayed for more blessings for him.
Ngendlela lonakekela ngayo bantu labadzala uNkulunkulu akakubusise aphinza kubusise.
Bishop Nashonga says the foundation will continue looking for ways to improve and better the lives of the needy in the kingdom. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Ngamandla with Mbongwa Dube Manzini.
The Prime Minister, or the Deputy Prime Minister Themba Masuku urges parents to preach some wisdom to their children and give them guidance on the right principles of life. He says this can help combat the burning of government infrastructure and personal property. Masuku was speaking during a donation event at Divine Healing Ministries in Manzini.
In the past few months, the difference in views for certain individuals has led to numerous burning of government infrastructure and personal property. The Deputy Prime Minister Themba Masuku says this is not acceptable. He says parents have a responsibility to advise their children against doing such. He says parents were involved in the crafting of the Constitution, which has seen the introduction of free primary education and different infrastructure projects, including the high coverage of electricity. The Deputy Prime Minister further says differences in views has been there in yesteryears, but they were addressed following laid-down procedures and following protocols, as well as involving the right people to solve matters where Emaswat had differences. He says he does not remember any violence involved in solving differences.
Lalaba bakhweshelako bakhweshela abantu abadzala kungako sebahamba bajikjele manje esitaladini ngoba le value lefanele ukuthi bayithole kulabadali bababalekele kungako kumcoka nasisehleti thina sibadzala sikhumbule ukuthi umthetho sisekelo wale live lo khona lo lethe bo free primary education lo lethe ngingakubala kwenganani lo lese kwaba khona kuthiwa ngemalungelo kwentiwa kunabantu abadzala nonke etikhulwini tenu nikhulumela live mhlambe lamhla sekufika esigaba lapha sekukhona lokufuneka kulungiswe kepha kwakungalungiswa nakadzeni ngekushiswa anything naw tawukhumbula ukuthi emaswati nasahomtela inkosi bebita sibaya ithi ake uphume mntwana inkosi masithela uyowuva uthathi nemaswati ngitowalungisela aphume aye khona abuya athi asala uphuma umntwana inkosi mahlala engangeni nanalibandla nalo uphinze uve ukuthi kutawuhamba njani abuye akahamba umntwana inkosi David atolungiswa iconstitution ahamba kukhulume lamaswati la khuluma khona angikhumbuli nangalinye langa ukuthi khona lokwashiswa.
Masuku says government is committed to dialogue. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Langamandla with Mbongwa Dube Manzini.
The Ministry of Public Works and Transport, Principal Secretary Thulani Mkhalipi says in 30 days, the road failure near Nkomazi Road Bridge will be fixed. Mkhalipi says the contracted company has commenced construction.
Thursday last week, the Ministry of Public Works and Transport notified the nation about road failure near Nkomazi River Bridge on MR1 from Mochane to Matsamo. Fixing of the road is already underway, and also to be fixed is a bridge on the Makuga Road, which was destroyed by Cyclone Louis. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Public Works and Transport, Thulani Mkhalipi, elaborated about the ongoing project.
Our engineers have been working on this assignment throughout the festive holidays, and a contractor has been identified. He is already on site, has started working, and will be working on that site for 30 days, and we are hoping that by that time the road will be open for public use. And we are appealing to the road users that during the construction period they exercise patience as the construction is going on.
Mkhalipi also speaks about plans made by the ministry to fix roads across the country.
We will meet with the regional administrators, the MPs in the various regions, to prioritize, those roads that we could start with, because our resources are very, very limited. We have had serious problems with our heavy plant and fuel. But, we have approached government to see how we could be assisted to get back the heavy plant back in operation. We know that demand is quite high, will not be anywhere all the time, and when people need us, but we'll start doing something, very, very soon.
In his end-of-year speech, the Prime Minister, Cleopas Dlamini, said government have rehabilitated 27 bridges which were damaged by Cyclone Louis, while 29 million emalangeni was spent on infrastructure, which was also destroyed by the storm. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, with Vuminkosi Nzinisa Nkomanzi.
Deputy Prime Minister's Office, Acting Principal Secretary Hlopsile Dlamini says by March next year, the Mangayane Home for the Vulnerable will be scheduled to start operations. Dlamini says the first phase has been completed, and our reporter Fortune Dlangamandla has the latest.
The Mankayane Home for the Vulnerable is divided into two. One is for elderly people, while the other one is for disabled persons. The Deputy Prime Minister's Office Acting Principal Secretary Hlopsile Dlamini says the office is on final stages on developing regulations which will help in the selection of those who will be housed at Mankayane. She adds that 48 people will be given accommodation, and there are 8 houses, and each one will be occupied by 6 people.
Lihhovisi nekubambisana nalesisebenzisana nabo sisakha luhlaka cishe lengilona seliphelile lelingilona lelitasisita ukuthi lesimthatha simfaka lapha kuthi abahlobo lemuntu lesakhiwo ke mbukele ekhaya sitawuthatha abantu labangemashumi lamane nesiphohlongo sidindlu letisiphohlongo indlu eyinye itawuhlala abantu labasithupha. Silihhovisi ke nekubambisana nelitiko letemcashwa tisebenzi basiniketile ma positions la ngasebenza kulesakhiwo siyakhulumisana netiko letempilo ngokuthi lapho labatawusebenza khona kufanele kube bantu labanjani. Siyethemba ukuthi nakuphela lomnyaka wetimali tahulumende March 2022 sitabe sesisebenta lesakhiwo konke lokufanele ngakukhona endzaweni sekuhlelekile nalabantu lekufuna bangene babe sebahlala khona.
The construction of the homestead was completed early this year and the staff have been hired. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, Mankayane.
As COVID-19 mortalities continue to increase, the Ministry of Health calls on Eswatini to protect themselves from the virus. Director Health Services Dr. Vusi Makakula says most of the people who are dying are those who have not vaccinated against the virus.
In the past 3 days, 15 Eswatini succumbed to COVID-19. Director of Health Services Dr. Vusi Makakula says the ministry is concerned by the increase of people who died due to COVID-19.
We know that in the past week, for an example, we lost 12 people, and we know that most of them were between the age of 30 and 39, and it seems to be slightly following the number of cases, but now we're talking about deaths. But then we also noticed that there were 2 who died, who we call children, who were between the ages of 12 and 19. And as we look and try and analyze, we do note that at the moment, this is what was happening was 2-3 weeks ago, there was absolutely no death reported for quite a number of days. So yes, we are seeing that number. But the thing is, as more and more data comes in on Omicron from the rest of the world, from us, from Africa CDC, from WHO, we will be making the analysis to see to it that exactly what is happening. It may be a bit too early to actually say, yes, there is an increase. But we are still watching what Omicron is doing. And we would like to warn that we know that in the past weekend, we were all celebrating eating goat meat and everything else. And we know that it's still coming. This Friday, we're also celebrating the end of the year. Let's do what we have been doing to try and keep the numbers low, to keep the infection away from us. Let's wash our hands with running water and soap. The social distance, that is the most important thing. As we do whatever we're doing, let's make sure we avoid the crowded places. If you find yourself in a crowded place, please ensure that you are social distancing. That is just about the only way we can do. They still do not have much information on Omicron. We are watching and analyzing and making sure that we will implement what is recommended.
On the other hand, Dr. Makakula emphasized that Eswatini should take their COVID-19 jabs, adding that despite the increase in the number of deaths, the ministry is ready to fight the virus. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, Mbabane.
A very good evening once again. You are still watching Eswatini TV. Let's have a look at our sports news. The Secretary of the Eswatini Techball Association, Nolwazi Ngonyama, says the year 2021 was a good year for them as an association as they were able to host their national championships and club competitions. Nolwazi says they also managed to grow the number of teams registered to their database.
Football is a relatively new sport in the country, having been acknowledged in 2020 by the Sports Recreation Council. In 2021, the association hosted many games and were active throughout the year. According to the secretary of the association, Nolwazi Ngonyama, 2021 was a good year for them as they even managed to host tournaments where they selected players for the World Cup.
Techball Eswatini Federation 2021 wethu bekamuhle kakhulu. Sikhonile kuba nema tournament, sikhonile kuba ne National Challenger Series. La kwakhetha khona abadlali ababili ukuthi bayosimelela ku World Cup yaka Techball ledlalwe nyalo nga December 8 to 11 ePoland. Sikhonile nekuba ne clubs tournament where lama clubs la registered under federation bekaquthelana inyanga yonke SOS kwaphuma ke laba ama champions kwaba yi Blues yasensingweni ngaseluve. So umnyaka wethu despite i-COVID sikhonile kuphusha kakhulu, sikhone nekumitha ema-targets besiwasethile as a federation.
Eswatini could not attend the World Cup in Poland because of the COVID-19 restrictions by European countries who banned all flights coming from the Southern region. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patizo Msebi with Linda Dlamini. Lubamba.
Premier League rookies Vovovo FC began life without their director Tetla Pembe with a 3-2 lose to Manzini Wanderers. The match was played at the Prince of Wales this evening.
During the off-season, there was too much talk between Manzini Wanderers and Premier League rookies Vovovo after former Wanderers director Mehluni Hlengetho and other officials joined Vovovo FC. Vovovo was playing its first game after the passing of its director Sipho Pembe. The head coach Caleb Ngwenya says he wouldn't say it had any impact on today's game.
I think we should be men enough. They should be strong. It happens in football. We cannot win all of them. Is how we regroup, and we just need to be strong.
In the game, Vovovo started well, scoring the game's opener, but Wanderers was able to react well, where they scored 3 quick goals before the teams could go to the halftime break. Manzini Wanderers head coach Nyangaisizwe Hlophe says they could have scored more goals.
Ivovovo sitwe ngiloko ukuthi kunebantu abasuka la kithi labasimotivate ukuthi nabadlathini manje vele bekushidiwe ukuthi namuhle madoda hayi laba.
In other games that played today, Mbabane Highlanders won by 2-0 against Malandi. Royal Leopards defeated Tamboti by 5-0 and Milling won by 1-0 against Strangers. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patizo Msebi with Linda Dlamini. Mbabane.
That's all for now. Before we conclude, let's have a look at our top stories. The weeding of Royal Fields continues as warriors were weeding Mazibege Royal Fields. Hundreds of senior citizens and people living with disabilities around the kingdom received Christmas gifts from the John Nashonga Foundation. The Ministry of Public Works and Transport has assured the nation that the road failure near Ngomazi Road Bridge will be fixed. And with that, we sum up our bulletin for the evening. Up next is the weather update from myself and the team. Thank you for tuning in. Good night.